Have you not seen that show?
What's it called?
The Watcher.
The Watcher. Sounds terrifying.
Well,
I'm not big into
it's on
scary
Netflix.
Stuff, Dave.
Well,
I'm not big into it, all right?
I understand that, but I just thought you also binge watch everything that's on Netflix. I thought for sure, if anyone's seen that show,
crazy
Blaine, then I can talk to him about it today.
Because I was literally on Netflix last night. And it's like, you would think, is it new? If it's new, it'd pop up on the top 10.
It came out the end of last year, I think, and it's based on an article that was written, like a true story, about people who would send this one house letters. And they're just like creepy letters.
I already hated it.
This will help you out. It was, I think the showrunner was the same guy who did American Horror Story.
Yeah, not me. I'm not my cup of tea. No, I'd rather watch. I'd rather watch Puss in Boots over the weekend than watch that.
Is that what you were watching on Netflix?
No, last night, but the last couple of days. Hey, Puss in Boots is good. Have you seen it?
No.
It is good.
It's good.
Is it good?
Like the fighting scenes in it are pretty good. Like you like it.
Well, look, I have little kids, so that's in my future.
Yeah, you won't wake up and.
But this one came out of nowhere. This one was like Darby Lou was like, I found a new series, The Watcher, and I want to rewatch it, and so I think you should watch it. So I'm kind of getting into it, but then we just polished that thing off in 2 days.
How many episodes?
7.
7?
Yeah.
Don't make me do it.
Or they're going to make a second season.
I'll watch the first 5 minutes and then tell everybody. I'm going to pull a LeBron James situation and watch the first 5 minutes and tell everybody I watched the season. But really, I didn't. I'm not going to.
With your book upside down?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
That sounds a lot like you.
You know me.
You want to get started?
I love it.
South Carolina head football coach Shane Beamer joins us today to discuss his team's mindset entering the 2023 season. The Gamecocks look to build off the momentum from last year when they pulled huge upsets over Tennessee and Clemson. In the world of golf, former Georgia Bulldog Brian Harman won the British Open to capture his first major championship. Harman's 6-stroke margin of victory is the second largest for an American golfer in the history of the tournament, trailing only Tiger Woods when he won the Claret Jug by 8 shots in 2000. And in racing, reigning world champion Max Verstappen won his 7th consecutive Grand Prix. And more impressively, Red Bull as a team now has won 12 straight, which breaks a 35-year Formula One record previously held by McLaren. I'm David Cohn.
I'm Blaine Crain.
Welcome to Crain & Company.
Hey.
It's Monday. It's the Monday edition of Crain & Company.
Monday fun day, baby.
Little dynamic duo today, you and me.
I know. Crane's out there in France doing secret missions.
Well, yeah, you have to report back every now and then to tell Macaroni what's happened over there.
Yeah, I know.
And that is
only
Macaroni?
eating baked ribs.
Yeah.
He's only eating baked ribs.
It's like you think he's on vacation, but really, this was his vacation.
Absolutely.
He's over here, he's digging deep, he's spying.
I mean, he's just working in political corners right now.
But that's all right. That's all right. We'll hold it down. And I thought, hey, football season's right around the corner, baby.
Smell it.
What's that smell? I think it's fall.
Oh, God.
I think it's Downset Hut, Red 7. Will you please go stand on the other side,
Yeah,
please?
I can't wait for Auburn to throw a pick in the red zone.
They're going to do that for sure.
100%.
But I thought maybe you and I could just go ahead and get started with some college football because I was thinking about something this weekend. The top 10 non-conference matchups of the season. Because I kept thinking about some of these games we're going to get really early. So you and I put together a top 10 list. Is this our top 10 list right here? There it is.
I believe it
I
is.
love it. Let's just break this down together. All right. First off, LSU, Florida State. I can't stop thinking about this game. September 3rd, it's going to be on a Sunday. This is going to have serious college football playoff implications. You agree?
I agree 100%. And, I look at this game, and I don't know which team has the edge.
You're still doing your research on it?
I don't know which team has the edge. I mean, you go back to last year's matchup, and I know LSU has some injuries early. But, both these teams stack up. I'm really interested to see Florida State's defense, especially their secondary, the way they're going to be able to contend with LSU's receivers, how Jaden Daniels looks in the pocket early, where he's pushing the ball downfield. Because we saw Jaden Daniels grow as a quarterback last year. I mean, Jordan Travis, what's he going to be? I mean, a healthy Jordan Travis, because Jordan's had a lot of ankle problems, but a healthy Jordan Travis is as good as anybody in the country.
Yeah.
So I think this game's going to come down to defense, because I think both offenses are going to be where they need to be. But defensively, the only edge I would give is maybe LSU up front.
Okay, so last year when we had this game, I said, Louisiana State and Florida State, possibly the greatest collection of athletes you can put on the field. And that's in any year. Hey, you don't care if these schools are having a down year, it doesn't matter, right? But we didn't expect LSU or Florida State to really do anything special last year. I mean, we thought Mike Norvell was leading the chart on coaches on the hot seat. And then Brian Kelly in year one, and LSU, the troubles they had under the Ed Orgeron era. So, but still, we said, hey, this is going to be a lot of fun just because of the collection of athletes that are running around. Well, all of a sudden, Florida State has their first winning season in 6 seasons, something like that. LSU wins the SEC West, ends up going to the conference championship in Atlanta. Now we're looking at this, and this is the second half of that quote-unquote home and home. I mean, my only critique here is that these aren't being played on college campuses. But now we're going to get the second half of that with both of these teams could possibly make the college football playoff.
How much do you think a loss will hurt them?
So, and you're going to hear me say this throughout this list because we have a lot of SEC matchups here in the non-conference. I think it will hurt the non-SEC teams more because here's my thing. The SEC champion is going to make the college football playoff. And people can complain about it, but that's just how it's going to be. I don't care if that team has 2 losses or what. We've often said, Alabama's the only team that could make the college football playoff with 2 losses. I don't see it that way. If LSU loses this opener to a really good Florida State team and then runs through an SEC schedule and drops another one somewhere along the way, maybe on the road in Tuscaloosa or somewhere else along that, but then wins the SEC championship, they're going to the college football playoff.
100%.
Right? So if Florida State loses this opener and then they drop another one along the way, say on the road at Clemson, which is going to be a tough game, or say a rivalry game that they have to play like a Florida team that's not great, but they find a way to beat Florida State at the end of the year, that's going to be tougher for them as an ACC champion to make it with 2 losses.
100%.
Right?
If you're Florida State, you need to win this game more than LSU needs to win it.
Which brings us to number 2 on our list here, Texas, Alabama. So now the Longhorns go to Tuscaloosa for the second half of this home and home. And remember, first half of this game last year, Quinn Ewers and the boys had Alabama on the ropes before he gets hurt before halftime.
Remember, Quinn was getting banged up in this game. It's not like they weren't getting to Quinn. They were getting to Quinn early. But he was making throws, obviously. Quinn's a phenomenal talent. This game's going to be in Tuscaloosa this year. And I know Alabama, who you missing? Bryce Young, the phenom, the chosen one, the kid who can walk on water. All right, and everybody's worried about Alabama's quarterback room. I know it's not going to be as good as Bryce Young. That's obvious. But I still think Alabama's getting slept on this year.
Yeah.
They're getting slept on this year. And that's just a recipe for disaster if you're another team. And if you don't think Nick Saban is going to have these boys ready to play when you come into Bryant-Denny, have all the rat poison that was being heard by everyone in that locker room, I think Alabama, and I know like Texas from a receiver standpoint, from a quarterback standpoint, and up front, are as good as anybody in the nation, especially on offense. But I always worry about Texas defense. And I thought Texas defense showed up against Alabama last year. But I think Alabama is going to come out firing in this game. I think Alabama will prove a point that they can get to Quinn. They can get to Quinn early, and I would be rare. I think Quinn's is going to, at the end of the day, maybe get a little tiptoeish in this game because the amount of times he has to get up off the ground.
Well, you're right that Alabama is getting slept on, and I think part of it is deserved, right? I mean, last year, didn't win the SEC West like we just talked about. You lose to LSU and Brian Kelly's first year. You drop that game, Nick Saban's first loss to Tennessee since he's been there, which I still can hardly believe. And he had really the best offensive player and the best defensive player in the country, right? But Bryce Young had some injuries last year. They had to play Jalen Milroe a bit. You lose both of those players. It wasn't pretty in the spring game with the quarterback situation, so much so that you have to bring Tyler Buckner in. So some of that is deserved. But on the flip side of that is they've also still been putting unbelievable recruiting classes together back to back to back to back, which what's the most important thing about putting a great roster together is stacking these classes, not just having a one-off top 3 every now and then. So the idea that Alabama isn't going to come out and be an extremely good football team, is absurd to me. Are they going to be at the level that we're accustomed to seeing with one of these guys under center who's going to play football on Sundays for a long time, like the last 4 have proven that they're all in the league? That I don't know. But Steve Sarkisian leading the Longhorns, is this the time for them?
It's got to be. It's got to be. You got a quarterback, you have your receivers, and Steve's a great play caller. He's just an absolute witch when it comes to schematics on offense. I mean, you put up 19 points. And I know Quinn got hurt, but if you're going to win this game, you're going to have to put up at least a 30-piece. Because I think Alabama did what in this game? They had 17 penalties on defense in this game. You know how hard it is to win a football game with 17 penalties on defense? It's virtually impossible. This is the year, and I know, look, they say it about Texas and Texas A&M every year.
They're back.
They're back, baby.
They're back.
Right? They're back. If they're going to be back, they got to take care of business on September 9th.
Well, another guy who coached under Nick Saban over in Athens right now, Kirby Smart, has figured it out.
Yeah.
So Steve Sarkisian, under Nick Saban, maybe he's got the Texas Longhorns in a position to do something.
And I want Texas to be good.
You can't talk about non-conference matchups without talking about Notre Dame because they're not in a conference and they have an awesome schedule this year. Why don't you take the next one?
Yeah, so September 23rd, they're going to go they'll play the Ohio State Buckeyes. And then after that, oh, God, just an absolute death lineup for these kids. I feel so bad. They got Ohio State, then USC, and Clemson.
Okay, but the first two are at home.
Yeah, the first two are at home. I don't think it. Look, I still think one of the biggest moves, in the offseason of football is Sam Hartman for Notre Dame.
Fact.
Sam, I'm interested to see the system. It's going to be different from what he was at Wake Forest. The mesh they do in the backfield, as long as it takes. And he's going to be under center at Notre Dame.
Good.
Yeah.
Put quarterbacks under center. Bring them back under center, at least sometimes.
Okay, yeah. I'm fine with it when it's 3rd and 1. Let's get under center QB sneak it. Other than that, I think Ohio State. I think if you're Notre Dame, you need to win one out of these two. One out of these two. I don't think you're going to win two.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I don't think your best chance, in my opinion, is November 4th on the road at Clemson.
Okay, so here's their schedule here. We're talking about Marcus Freeman here, entering year 2. Another thing is they lost Logan Diggs, transferred out to LSU, which I didn't realize until last week that he was a Louisiana kid.
Yeah,
I think Brian Kelly came and got him from Louisiana. So him transferring back home makes a little bit of sense. But him with the Audrey Estime kid was going to be one of the top 2 or the top 5 running back duos in the country to me anyway. So you lost him. That hurts. But here's their schedule right here. Navy, all right? Navy neutral site, I believe.
Yeah.
Tennessee State, at NC State, and Central Michigan. So those are the first 4 before they play the Buckeyes. It's not impossible to think that Notre Dame could roll into that game 4-0.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, you would probably think they would roll into that game 4-0. You have Ohio State, right? What's your thoughts on Ohio State this year? Is up front?
It's what it always is. They're going to be really, really good. They're going to be tough to beat.
What do you think about the quarterback they have?
They always get better at that position. I'm telling you, I've had to watch this up close and personal for 15 years. Every time they lose a guy, I'm like, oh, Terrell Pryor's finally gone. Maybe Michigan can win. Oh, guess what? No, they got Braxton Miller, who's just running around, makes him play. Okay, he's finally gone. Who do they replace him with? JT Barrett. Oh, man, thank goodness he's gone. Dwayne Haskins, top 15 pick. Every year they just get better and better at the position. And look, as good as the last guy was, and he went number 2 overall to the Texans, that's the one guy Michigan had proven to be able to beat.
I know.
Again, I'll say what I told you last week. I know some Buckeyes fans are upset with Ryan Day, and he was on the hot seat after losing to Michigan. Hey, he's a play away from being able to play in the national title game, and it just speaks to how great of a coach Urban Meyer really was.
Yeah.
Because what he was able to do was unbelievable. You're going to lose some football games. So, look, I think they're going to be really, really good.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at that. I would think Ohio State would be favored in this game. Just Ohio State's just going to be so freaky upside. This game's going to come down to up front on both sides of the ball. Because Notre Dame, what do they want to do early, establish a run? Yep. And I'm going to see how much freedom Sam Hartman has as a thrower and how well he falls into that system.
And that's the second time we've mentioned Clemson. Here they would host Notre Dame, and they're going to host Florida State. Okay, that's not on this list because that's a conference matchup, which is kind of cheating putting Notre Dame in here anyway since they're basically the ACC. Yep. But all 5 of these here, that's LSU, Florida State, that's Texas, Alabama, that's Notre Dame Buckeyes, that's Notre Dame, Southern California, okay, and then Clemson, Notre Dame, all 5 of those are going to have playoff implications.
100%.
All right, let's get to the other half of the list here, which some of these may have implications, but they're also, for the ones that don't, they're just very intriguing non-conference matchups, some of which we may not see these 2 teams play again. That's Utah, Baylor. And Utah goes to Baylor, I believe. Is that right?
That is correct. This game's going to be interesting, man. I'm really, I want to see Baylor's defense the way they are, because last year was almost an anomaly to me of how, mediocre they were, especially the way they've been coached. Shapen, Cam Rising, which team, if anything, I'm going to lean on Utah even if this game's on the road because of the experience they have, especially with Cam behind quarterback. And I think this might be surprising to a lot of people. I think Utah's going to be the more physical team in this game. I think this has a huge. Well, I think Utah, if you walk into it, I think they're going to take care of business week 1 against Florida, right? Because, the reason we don't have Utah-Florida on this game is we don't think Florida's going to be any good.
Which is another fun out-of-conference game Utah has.
Yeah.
But I think this one, Baylor has a better shot to win their conference than Florida does, 100%. So this one could have more implications for the playoff. I'm
really interested to see how Blake Shapen plays this year. I think he's got better throughout the years, especially last year. You saw him progress as a quarterback. But I still think just the identity of Utah's going to out-physical Baylor, right, in the box. That's what I think Utah will win.
We're only a couple seasons removed from watching Baylor be one of the most physical teams in the Big 12 when they played that great conference championship against Oklahoma State. Do you think they'll return to that form, or was that kind of just an anomaly, a bright spot for them?
I think it's hard to say they won't. I think Blake Shapen has to get better in the passing game. But I do think it comes down to their defense, right? When they went to their conference championship game, their defense was lights out. Absolutely lights out.
Yeah.
On each level of your defense, from your D-line to your backers to your secondary, they were lights out. And that's a Dave Aranda coach football team. If they don't return to that, it's not like their offense, they're not going to outscore you every week. All right? They're not going to do that. They're just not good enough on offense to do that. So I think the only way they return back to the glory days, all right, if their defense starts to show up Saturday in and Saturday out. And if they don't do that, and they weren't terrible last year, but I hold Dave Aranda's defense on a higher level than almost anybody. Just the absolute Professor X when it comes to defense. So if they don't return to that, then no, I don't think they're going to make it.
While we're still here on the Pac-12, do you have your Pac-12 prediction yet? Are you leaning Utah? You leaning SC, Washington, Oregon? Or are you going to wait and make that prediction later?
Well, I can say where I'm leaning.
Okay,
right?
how you leaning?
I'm leaning USC.
USC?
I'm leaning USC because there's no way, and I know they got demolished by Utah when it mattered, but there's no way their defense can be that bad.
That's what I keep saying.
There's no way.
And you're returning the Heisman Trophy winner?
There's no way.
Who's going to throw 50 touchdowns?
Oh, yeah. There's no way. There's no way that you didn't get better on defense. Because, look, Alex Grinch, he's a good DC. I know, he came from Oklahoma, and they weren't phenomenal on defense, but they had players.
It's just weird. It's weird to be talking about Southern California and not being elite on defense because, hey, you see that jersey back there? When I had to wear that jersey,
pretty good.
Look, yeah, it's really clean because I didn't play in it. But for the guys who did play against USC in that game,
they were really good.
Brian Cushing and the boys, they're really good. All right, let's move on to the next one. Oh, we do have one more Pac-12 on here. Oregon going to Texas Tech. We've been talking about this game a lot ever since we had Coach McGuire on. Man, Texas Tech could win that football game.
Yeah, I think they really could. I think Texas Tech is going in the right direction. I still believe Oregon's going to be a team. Is Oregon getting slept on?
They're not being talked about a whole lot.
You return, you lose some guys up front on the offensive line.
Bo Nix, man, that's another guy. We've been kind of joking around, he could be a Heisman candidate, this and that. Man, some of the scouts that I've been talking to that scout for the NFL, they're bigger on Bo Nix than they are Michael Penix Jr. and some other guys around the country.
Yeah.
What's the ceiling for them?
Well, I'm looking
win the conference and go to the playoff?
I'm looking at their schedule right now. It's not great.
Okay.
It's not great. You got Texas Tech week 2 on the road. Then you got Washington.
Well, let's say they win that game.
All right. So you're going to, if you win that game, you're going to probably walk in to
Oregon will be favorites in this game.
100%. Even on the road.
Oregon will be favorites in this game.
Even on the road.
So then where do they go?
Okay, so then they got Hawaii at home. That'll be a slaughtering. Colorado at home.
They'll put up
1,000.
73 points.
Yeah, I think my main goal this year is just take the spread against Hawaii.
like we did UConn before Jim Moore Jr. got there.
Yes.
Every year
week,
there's that team.
Every week, so it's easy money. All right, then you're on the road at Stanford, which I'm interested to see what Stanford will be like this year. I don't think they're going to be phenomenal. You go to Washington.
See, that's what.
It's not a walk in the park.
See.
Then you got Washington State at home next week, which isn't a walk in the park either. You go to Utah, Cal at home, USC at home, at Arizona State, and obviously you finish against Oregon State.
Where?
At home.
Okay, but you're on the road against two of the best teams in the conference, right?
Yeah.
Washington and Utah.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
So we'll see.
It's going to be I'm interested to see how they are on defense, but I believe in their coach, man. I really do.
All right, let's get to 8, 9, and 10 here. Texas A&M, Miami. Look, this may not be a deciding game to see who gets knocked out of the college football playoff already in September, but this is an awesome home and home. Texas A&M and Miami. I'm glad they're doing it. This is the second half of this. We saw Miami go out to Texas A&M last year, and this was, one of the games that the Aggies were able to win. Year 2 for Mario Cristobal, okay? And we already know on the other side how much pressure Jimbo Fisher has. You bring in Bobby Petrino to be the offensive coordinator. Your thoughts here?
I really want this to be a good game.
Yeah.
I really want this because I just remember these, especially Miami, these two programs are just, extremely talented. Mario Cristobal was a disaster last year. There's nothing short of that was a disaster last year. The same thing with A&M. If you're Miami, you got your quarterback returning, right, who's supposed to be the guy that comes in and wins you Saturday games that you're not supposed to win. I believe it's Van Dyke.
Tyler Van Dyke?
Yeah, Van Dyke. And I want to see what he's like this year. But you go back to A&M, there's questions in the quarterback room. You bring in Bobby Petrino. I think A&M's the more talented team, roster-wise. I do. And I think that'll show in this game. But I do think Miami, like Mario Cristobal, you got to get him going, man. Like, how long? How long are you sitting or willing? That goes to Jimbo, too. How long are you sitting the week? You can always say before, give him time before the season starts. But when it's week 6 or 7.
Can you pull up Miami's schedule real quick?
And you're down 30 at halftime. That's when questions start to get answered.
Because when we talk about programs that can be flipped quickly, Miami has to be in the top 3 of that list. LSU is always a program we mentioned, and look what Brian Kelly was able to do in his first year there.
Yeah.
But Miami, we're talking about Dade County, the muck, where the best athletes in the country come from. Now, granted, they may not have the bigs and the guys in the trenches in the high school game like other states, Georgia, Texas maybe, but you can get the best athletes in the country there, and it wouldn't be surprising to me if Mario Cristobal, where that's his alma mater, he had success at Oregon, comes in as able to win a lot of football games quickly. What's their schedule like?
All right, you got Miami, Ohio, week 1. Mm-hmm. All right, you got Texas A&M, week 2. You have Bethune-Cookman, week 3. You go to Temple, week 4. Georgia Tech at home. Then you're at UNC. All right, you have Clemson at home, Virginia at home. You go to NC State. You go to Florida State, Louisville at home, then you finish the season at Boston College.
Okay. So let's say they were able to beat everyone but Florida State, Clemson, and Texas A&M. You're looking at 9 wins.
You'll take that 100%. Yeah. I do think it's a lot harder to recruit now if you're Miami, right? There's the thing about LSU, you run that state. Mm-hmm. That's you. Any big name that's in that state, he's going to be in the purple and white. Mm-hmm. Right? He's just going to be. But if you're Miami, you're dealing with Florida. You're dealing with Florida State. You're dealing with UCF, right? You're dealing with
and every other school who comes into your state.
Literally. So I feel like it's still Miami needs success and they need it early, especially for Mario because this can go off the cliff pretty quick. And last year they're 5-7. Right, I think it ended 5th in the ACC and the Coastal. It wasn't pretty. Got beat by teams you're not supposed to lose to. Mm-hmm. And you can say the same thing about A&M. But I think, from a roster standpoint, I think A&M's just going to have the better football team.
All right, number 9, Ole Miss, Tulane. You were big on this one.
Dude.
Tulane, 12-2 a year ago. Talking about Southern California, they beat SC in the bowl game.
Yeah.
Your thoughts here?
The more I look at this game, the more I just want to bet on Tulane. Right? The
money line?
I got to look at the spread. I'll take a money line. I'll take a money line. We're realistically thinking, was it 3.5? And so, look, what's always the question around Ole Miss, right? It's their defense, right? Mm-hmm. How much you can be able to trust the Ole Miss defense? What does Tulane want to do? Hike and hand the ball off, baby. They're going to test you within the tackles every play. And Ole Miss, look, they have 9 quarterbacks on the roster. Lane Kiffin's the coach. They'll be phenomenal at the skill position. They always are. They'll be decent up front on the offensive line. Their quarterbacks will be fine. I'm never worried about Ole Miss offense when it comes to Lane Kiffin. I'll never worry. Schematically, the guy can do it. But their defense has always just been the nail in the coffin. And Tulane, I'm telling you, if there's one thing, if that dog shows up, that dog's going to fight if it's Tulane. So I want to see what fight Ole Miss will have on defense. The more I look at it, the more I like Tulane.
We talked with Quinshon Junkins at SEC Media Days. We're going to be running that soon, too.
Yeah.
1,500 yards as a true freshman.
Man.
May you think he goes for 2 bills this year?
I wouldn't be surprised. Especially, if I'm Lane, look, I'm giving it to him as much as I can. Because how much do you trust your quarterbacks? How much do you trust Jackson Dart?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Me?
Yeah.
Not much, and I don't have to.
Yeah.
What about Spencer Sanders? They brought Spencer Sanders in.
And Spencer's
said he's healthy.
Spencer's done phenomenal things, especially when he was at Oak State. But he did, Spencer's not afraid to put the ball in jeopardy. right? And I think he had one. I can't remember his last game. He had 6 picks, right? So like that's the only thing. It's a risk reward situation, and it's a double-edged sword. So if you put Spencer in there, and Jackson will do it too. Like Jackson will do it. Jackson has his eyes go through linebackers, right? And that's the scariest thing when you come from a coordinator. Is guys, he'll just go through guys and not see them and throw blatant picks, and that's hard to fix. I do think Spencer's probably the best athlete on the roster when it comes to quarterbacks. Spencer can run too now. Spencer can do it all. But it's how conservative is, how much does Lane want to play to the cuff when it comes to this?
Well, we're going to find out. All right, last one, number 10, and we had a couple to whittle down here. We were talking about Washington at Michigan State is going to be a great non-conference matchup this year. Not so much because Michigan State's supposed to be great, but Washington, I'm expecting big things from Washington, and it's another one of those cool matchups that we're not going to see that often, right? So, West Virginia, Penn State, we were talking about that one.
That one's so interesting.
Colorado, Nebraska. Again, not because either of these teams are going to be phenomenal, but you just have such a cool aspect of new head coaches at both programs, them meeting up. But for number 10, we actually decided to go North Carolina and South Carolina. The reason being here, you can say what you want about North Carolina as a team and the defense. I mean, some of the games they lost last year, it was just mind-boggling to see the defense give up that many points. But Drake May is one of the best football players in this country, period. And I think he will be the second player drafted in the NFL right behind Caleb Williams. And then South Carolina, look, we're going to get Shane Beamer on here a little bit later and do a bit of South Carolina preview. But the stock is rising, my friend, and what's that, September 2nd? That's a week 1 matchup, North Carolina, South Carolina. Already some bad interstate blood.
Yeah.
You excited about that one?
Oh, look, I'm so excited about this game, and we get it so early.
Yeah.
Battle of the quarterbacks here, huh? I mean, at the end of the day, Drake May, Downs is gone at receiver. Spencer Rattler, you're not phenomenal. You're not phenomenal when it comes to everywhere else on the skill position of your South Carolina. Same thing with North Carolina. Which quarterback can outduel who? I don't really trust either of these defenses, but I do think Drake May, right, at the end of the day, will have that impact factor to almost separate a little bit when it comes late in the game. I feel like it's going to be a phenomenal game. I think it's going to come down to a last drive in the fourth quarter. I really do. I think Drake May will be the difference. Let me ask you this. Well, how big of a gap do you see between Caleb Williams and Drake May?
There is a gap, but it's not huge right now.
Yeah, I'm just saying the only difference is Caleb's running ability? Is that what separates?
No, because I think Drake May is extremely athletic too and is great in the pocket. Caleb Williams is just doing some things that are just, there's a reason the comp is Patrick Mahomes. You know what I mean? There's throwing off platform, doing all that kind of stuff. So I do think there's a gap. But I'm telling you, if Drake May is able to take as big of a step into this season as he was between years 1 and 2, there's no telling what the ceiling could be for him. And I think he will be the second player drafted.
No, I wouldn't be surprised by that. Not a lot of athletes at receiver position. If you're Drake May, he's going to have to witch himself around a lot this year.
And I wonder how many games they're going to have to win to keep him in the Heisman Trophy conversation. Obviously, all of this is predicated on guys staying healthy.
That's always a question.
Anyway, that's our top 10 non-conference games entering the 2023 college football season. Tell us, which ones did we miss and which are you most excited about? All right, Carzing. Blaine, you bought a car recently,
I did.
Right? Yeah?
I did.
You're proud of that car.
I love it.
I'm proud of that car, and it's not even mine.
I
love that thing.
I appreciate it.
But here's what you should do. If you're looking to buy a car, is go to Carzing.com. Right? One of the biggest purchases that you make in your life. These guys make it easy. They make it affordable. And look, it's a stressful experience for anyone, especially if you're a first-time buyer. Maybe you have no credit. Before you walk into the dealership and spend an entire day with crowds, stress, and the potential to not even find the right car, you need to check out Carzing.com. Your thoughts on Carzing?
Carzing's in the trust tree with me.
Is it?
Right, they're in the trust tree.
You put them in the trust tree?
They're in the trust tree. It means that much to me, to be honest. And look, even if you're really not ready to buy a car, you can always go in, find your budget. They'll help you with your budget, right? You can window shop a little bit just to find. It's a process you don't want to rush, right? I promise you that. With Carzing, you never feel rushed. You feel safe at home. You're in the trust tree.
And maybe you don't even want a new car. You love your new car. But then all of a sudden, you have 2 babies in 2 years and your family doubles in size.
That sounds like a guy I know.
I'm getting awfully specific here, I guess. Visit Carzing.com/booster today and skip the guesswork and find the best deals near you. That's Carzing, CARZING.com/booster. Booster, BOOSTER. Speaking of Booster, anyone in there watching today?
You want to go dance in the club for a little bit? I'm talking Booster Club. Let's go to the house that Cody built. Love the house. $2 donation. He says, shout out to my son, Rudy, up to level 9. Yes.
Rudy, level 9? Congrats. Tell him don't jump off sides.
Yeah, I wish he'd get on sides, to be honest. Let's go to Cole Frink. We can guess what this is. $2 donation. LeBron is mid, MJ's the GOAT, and the Flaming Dragon candle is good.
Hi-oo. All of those are facts.
100%. Hey, I'll make sure y'all go buy that Flaming Dragon candle.
Go get that Flaming Dragon candle.
All right. And make sure you hit that like button on
You've ever taken a shot of Fireball, then it may smell familiar.
Let's go to Trevor Sage with a $10 donation. Appreciate it, Trevor. He has a dilemma.
Ooh.
I'm taking a trip to visit my family in Boston in September, and I'm going to see a sporting event. Do I choose going to Fenway for the first time or Brady's welcome back game versus Philly?
Brady's welcome back game. Did Brady unretire again?
Trevor, I didn't read this through before I looked at it. Hey, buddy, I got some news for you. All right. And sit down. All right. Tom Brady retired. He's not playing anymore.
But if he has come out of retirement, I would say pick that one.
I think you go to Fenway. I think you go to Fenway.
My parents just went to Fenway for the first time. Actually got us that sign back there, the Fenway Park sign behind
That's
you.
right.
Even though you're a Yankees fan, they said they had a blast at Fenway Park. Man, I'd love to see a ball game in Fenway.
Me too, man.
And I can make it happen, but there's so many other things.
Yeah, you got a lot of things going on.
They got to do.
All right, let's go to Texas Ed. What's up, brother? He says, does Spencer Rattler trust his arm talent more than his reads? That's a question for you.
Yeah, look, entering last year, remember we had all these guys at media days that had put Spencer Rattler in the top 3 of their quarterback list in the country, and we just thought that was absurd given the mental state that he was in, really, after leaving Oklahoma. The way that he came on last season and was really throwing the ball all around the yard, it was obviously very impressive, but the physical skill set was never the question with him. Never the question with him. It was his ability to lead that team throughout the season, especially late down the stretch when you're not playing for a college football playoff berth. You're not even playing to win the conference. To beat Tennessee the way they did, they put up 60 points?
Oh, it was ridiculous.
And then we don't even need to talk about in-state rival Clemson. To beat them is always a feather in the cap. So, look, the arm talent is there. I think him growing mentally last year is huge, and that was one of the questions that I wanted to ask Shane Beamer, and we'll get to that in just a little bit, is, what gave you the confidence to bring this guy in from Oklahoma who, wasn't at the top of his game at that point?
Yeah, and especially after the Oklahoma quarterbacks that we've seen on Lincoln Riley just flourish. Just flourish. So I'll be interested to see. Let's go to No Fun League Sports Channel. Sounds like no fun. It says Miami's got to win up front. They've been trash on the lines for years.
And that's what we've been talking about.
It's so crazy, especially with Mario Cristobal, right? He's supposed to be the offensive line guru. And
well, yeah, but I think that's why they brought him in, right? Like, what was he going to do in year one, with the roster the way it was? Just like out-athlete everyone? Like you said, you can't really even do that anymore when you're going up against these lines of scrimmage, even going out to Texas A&M, who was a 5-7 ball club last year. You're not going to beat them up front, with the way the roster was.
I guess I just didn't expect it to be that bad. It was bad, Dave.
True.
It was bad.
But I'm saying that's not Mario Cristobal's fault. He had to play the guys he had on the team.
Yeah, 100%. No, I agree. I mean, we're seeing year 2. It's just like when it comes to Mario Cristobal coach team, I just thought at least he would have gotten guys better. I don't think the offensive line was just absolutely atrocious. Like, I mean, you go look at them, they're not terrible players, but they never got better throughout the season.
Like I said, though, if they win 9 games, that's a thumbs up. That's a thumbs up, right?
Yeah, 100%.
That's a thumb. How about 8-4?
You'll take it. Right now, if you're Miami, you'll take it.
Okay.
Let's go to Matty Ice 1994. He says, Bo Nix has the experience, but they'll always be Oregon, and they will always let me down. You go back to that Oregon State game last year. The craziest was the last 3 minutes of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
It's just the biggest meltdown I've almost ever seen out of a team. I don't think that's going to be the same Oregon team this year. I think, look, Bo Nix is like his 13th year playing college football, which is great if you're Oregon. I mean, you did lose a couple tackles up front that were NFL players. That's fine. But I do think this is the way they're built. Oregon's got athletes running all over the field. And I think that head coach that they have will teach them, ingrain in them how to finish games. And I don't think, if they do find themselves in the same position, and it's a hard schedule, we know that. They have a bunch of tough road games, and the Pac-12 is not an easy conference to be in this year. But I do think Oregon, I'll put them in the same boat, man. They're just getting slept on. Right? What do you hear out there? You hear Utah, you hear USC. The first two teams you hear out there, and I get it to a certain standpoint, but it's not like Oregon's just a walk in the park. You know,
but you're still leaning USC for that conference.
I'm leaning.
Right?
I'm leaning. I'm just leaning a little bit.
What could win you over? What could make you quack?
The defense. Oregon's defense.
Dan Lanning in charge.
Yeah, they can make me quack. Like we'll Mighty Ducks this thing 100%.
All right, let's get to a couple more.
Okay, let's go to L4E, $2 donation. He says, what do you think about Trent Dilford and UAB?
Hey, Jake, what do you think? Replacement Jake. He has so much to say.
Disgusting.
Yeah. Why don't you take this one? Because I feel like Coach Vincent was your boy, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, Coach V will always be family to me. There's a lot of people on the staff.
Now, explain to people, was he the interim coach?
Yeah, he was.
Coach Vincent, who coached you in high school,
yeah,
right, was the interim coach at UAB.
For sure.
You guys thought that he was going to get
Thought he was going to get the job.
Okay.
Thought he was going to be retained. Ended up not happening.
And then Trent Dilfer's name.
And Trent Dilfer. It was such a random hire.
So random.
So like,
that doesn't make it bad.
No. It's just such a random big name. You know, just the way like they went and got Dilfer out of high school and stuff like that. But you know, UAB's got athletes,
sure,
right? Especially just in the area they're in, just who they recruit and what they can kind of get off other teams. UAB is going to be a good football team. I don't expect the world out of UAB. I want nothing but the best for Coach Dilford and those guys. I'm just like, keep your program. I'm glad that got cleared up. Like, it was still in the question. Like, just the dean of the college, I don't know exactly what's going on. They end up keeping. I think Trent Dilfer would be fine there. I think UAB's just got phenomenal talented kids. Like, and it shows up on Saturdays.
And whatever the situation is with the athletic director and with Coach Vincent, like, none of that is Trent Dilfer's fault. Right? Yeah. Like, he wants to be a head football coach in college, and he got an offer. So I wish him all the best. Now, where is Coach Vincent now? Where did he
go? I think he's out, was it Fresno? He's out west.
Okay.
He's out west. I can't remember exactly. UNLV, one of the schools.
You keep us posted on that.
I will. Let's go to Squeeze Liberal with a $5 donation. It says, sleep on Jackson Dart in 2023 like everyone slept on Matt Corral in 2021. Don't underestimate a quarterback that's been under Kiffin for 2 years.
Now that's a solid point right there. What if Jackson Dart is Matt Corral 2.0? Now they're going to be cooking.
Yeah, but like, what if he's not? You know, it's like,
well, we've already been talking about that. We've already been talking about that. But what if he has some Matt Corral in him? Would we have already seen it by now, or he can just burst onto the scene and have an unbelievable year?
Okay, so like the thing about it is like we go look at Matt Corral's numbers. You know, Matt in his 2020 threw for over 3,300 yards, had 29 touchdowns.
Wait, hold on. In 2020, in the COVID year, Matt Corral threw for 3,300 yards.
Yeah.
And how many touchdowns?
29 TDs.
Who was sleeping on him?
14 interceptions.
Okay, that's a lot of picks, but still, was he a sophomore then?
Yeah, I believe so, because we go to 2021, he threw for 3,300 yards. All right. 20 touchdowns and 5 picks.
Okay.
So like, then let's go to Jackson Dart's numbers.
So I'll take 20 touchdowns and 5 picks over 29 touchdowns and 14.
And he almost had like a 70% completion percentage over a year. And Jackson Dart, look, his numbers aren't bad. I mean, 2,900.
Okay.
Okay, a 61% completion percentage, 20 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. But I do think if you look at Jackson, right, and you look at Matt, I think you can tell the skill difference.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. I think Matt right now, I don't know if he'll ever play in the NFL or ever get a starting job.
Well, he's not for the Panthers.
Yeah, I ever get a starting job. But I do think Matt's good enough to play in the NFL.
Yeah.
But I think Jackson Dart has a lot more problems than what Matt has.
And let's just add some perspective here when we talk about sleeping on. I mean, this kid still played quarterback at Southern California, and Lane Kiffin brought him over to play quarterback for him. So, yeah, the kid is obviously talented. Is he going to have another repeat season like that? Is it a 25 TD double-digit interception year, or are we talking about Jackson Dart can break out and throw for 30 touchdowns and,
if Junkins won their running back, I feel like they're going to feed him more. I feel like they're going to lean on him heavy this year. But I do think Jackson can do good things. I just don't think he can do great things. Like, if you're asking Jackson Dart to be Matt Corral, I mean, good luck.
Yeah.
Because I just don't see that happening.
All right, let's move on here. Before we get to best and worst, though, I need to talk about how we wake up in the morning.
Look, I need you to talk to me about how
a little Black Rifle coffee. How much Black Rifle coffee does the Daily Wire go through a week?
I think all of it.
Yeah, they drink
1,000 pounds.
Hopefully not all of it because they still need to sell some. But Black Rifle coffee, what do you have over there?
I have Power Llama, y'all. It's a llama with machine guns on it.
What else do you need?
I mean, come on.
What else do you need to hear, man? If you're wondering what liberty feels like as any American, but if you want to know what it tastes like, ask our friends at Black Rifle Coffee. They have restored their Liberty Medium Roast. Did you hear about that?
I'm hearing about it now.
This roast has notes of hazelnut, brown sugar, and mild citrus. If you missed it last time, they have it in stock, and it's not going anywhere. Black Rifle Coffee is a veteran-founded coffee company operated by principled men and women who honor those who protect, defend, and support our country. With every purchase they make, they give back. Save money and drink America's coffee. Go to blackriflecoffee.com and use promo code BOOSTER. That's BOOSTER at checkout, and that'll save you 10% off your one-time purchase or your first coffee club order. That's blackriflecoffee.com, promo code BOOSTER for 10% off. You can also find Black Rifle Coffee in grocery and convenience stores near you. Black Rifle Coffee, that's America's coffee. Man, we love them so much. Remember, we tried to get them as a sponsor before we even came to the Daily.
Yeah, 100%.
That's how much we love their coffee.
I can't wait for that Flaming Dragon brew to come out.
Well, I can't speak to that, but you know what? I heard it's coming soon.
Well, I love when you speak.
All right, let's get to the best and worst from the weekend, man. Why don't you hit me with what really stood out to you?
Couple things. You know, and I'm not a huge soccer guy. You know that.
I do know that.
I think the world knows
I'm not
that.
either.
I think the world knows that. But I do know when something cool happens and Lionel Messi does it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Lionel Messi, over the weekend, hit a free kick goal. I believe it's in the 94th minute. And the only reason I'm watching this soccer game is one reason only. It's Lionel Messi.
Yeah, sure.
The only reason I'm watching. Look, Messi's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. He's the GOAT of soccer, especially my generation. 94th minute, just free kick. You can just see him zoning in, right? Just getting creative in his mind. Just Iron Man swiping things away.
Yeah.
Where's he going to put it? Just absolutely strokes one. Top left corner was just absolutely sauced up, and they ended up winning. It was huge. David Beckham started crying.
Did he cry?
David crying in the stands.
Wow.
David Beckham crying? I mean, come on.
Crying like Beckham.
God, absolutely.
The only reason I saw this is because you shared it on Twitter.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, it was pretty dope.
It was dope. I can never, anything Messi does, is anything he touches, just turns, he's a Midas guy.
So you're an Inter Miami fan now?
I'm a Lionel Messi fan.
Okay.
You know, I'm an Inter Messi fan, to be honest. Like, I don't watch soccer. It's just not my cup of tea. I'm not a huge fan. I'll watch the World Cup sometimes. So I can just be let down, obviously. But my best over the weekend was Lionel Messi.
Man, that was pretty sick.
Yeah.
Not going to lie. I'm not going to be tuning into a lot of games, but that was awesome. I'll see your soccer, and I'll raise you a golf.
Ooh.
How about American? Brian Harman.
The lefty?
The former Georgia Bulldog.
Let's go.
First of all, this guy, he's like 5'7",
5'7",
like 150.
Like a soaking wet.
Out here just representing, man.
Dude, just lefty, too. There's something about lefty.
Winning the British Open, taking home the claret jug, shot 13 under, won by 6 strokes, which is the second largest margin of victory for an American in the history of the British Open. It's the oldest golf tournament in the world. The only American to win by a greater margin of victory. Can you guess who it is? Tiger Woods. Won by 8 shots in 2000.
Yeah.
Huge
You
win.
saw what John Rahm said.
What
John Rahm was like, yeah, there's nothing we can do to stop him.
Yeah.
Like, he was just absolutely balling.
John Rahm was like one of the 5 guys who finished tied for second, 6 strokes back.
Yeah. Yeah, you can only do so much. When a guy's on a heater, man. My worst, you heard about this. Now you did get off my lawn about it, too. The running backs over the weekend. They all got together on a Zoom call.
On a Zoom call?
Yeah, they all got together on a Zoom call and cried for 45 minutes, basically. Say, look, guys, like, I get it to a certain point, but, like, shut up. You know, like, you're making multi-millions. You don't feel like you're worth it. Like, I want y'all to think about the other guys who aren't the top 5 running backs, 10 running backs in the league, who are scratching at the door just to get paid it all. Right now, you're running. It's such a weird thing when it comes to running backs, because it feels like
the more production you have, it almost hurts you.
I heard them say
to
that.
a certain extent, and I get that. Like you have the wear and tear when it comes to running backs. It's almost as hard as any other position. I mean, you can go tell that to a guard.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit different. It's just not a good look. I just don't think it's a great look for running backs. I don't think it's a great look for the NFL, right? Because you can miss out on Saquon Barkley, on Jacobs from the Raiders, on these key guys. And I do think the NFL needs at the end of the day, but I do think running backs, you have to be willing to give a little bit, right, to get what you want. And I feel like they're so set on what they want. It's just like, oh, you want to see these guys play.
A couple of the points that I understand the frustration the most is if you're the best football player on that team, like you're a Derrick Henry or a Saquon Barkley, and you're watching the number 3 or 4 wide receiver on the team get paid more than you, I understand why that's frustrating, But to me, you're talking about what happens when these teams pass up on these great running backs. Their odds to win the Super Bowl are improved. This is what we were talking about the other day. What's it been, a decade since the Super Bowl winning team had a Pro Bowl running back on their team, Marshawn Lynch with the Seahawks? And even then, he wasn't the leading rusher in that game. That was Percy Harvin. So these general managers are looking around. I also understand the frustration when they see quarterbacks across the league who aren't great and who also don't give a team a chance to win a Super Bowl take home a bank. I mean, we were talking like Carson Wentz, like $45 million or something. So when you see that and you're like, well, this guy's also not going to help you win a Super Bowl. At least a general manager is saying, well, at least my odds have improved by trying to go all in on the quarterback position, because that's what the game has become now. Now if we were talking about the college game, the running back position is far more valuable. Wouldn't you 100%. Agree at the college level?
100%.
And it continues doing that every level down. Like, give me the best running back in high school. Even before having a great quarterback, you can still win football games like that running the ball. But on the NFL level, you're seeing guys like Patrick Mahomes dominate the league. He didn't have a 1,000-yard receiver last year, and they didn't have a Pro Bowl running back.
It's just so strange, man.
It is weird. It's
so
weird to see.
It's so strange to see.
Like, we ran the wishbone at my high school. I had 2,000-yard rushers behind me at all times, and I go to Michigan where the mindset is run the ball first and we'll win off play action. I have the most respect possible for the running back position, but their value in the league is not going to change in general managers' eyes because you got together on a Zoom call and you just want to be paid more because other guys are getting paid.
No, 100%. I agree. What's your worst, bud?
So my worst, actually, I want to roll through a couple other bests here real quick before I get to that. One, I know we don't talk a lot of racing on here, but in the world of Formula One, Max Verstappen won his 7th consecutive Grand Prix, and this gives Red Bull their 12th win in a row. Dating back not only all through this year, but dating back to last season. That breaks a 35-year record, a Formula One record that was previously held by McLaren, I think set in 1988. So the year after I was born, McLaren had 11 wins in a row. This gives Red Bull 12 in a row. That's dominance.
Dude, this Max Verstappen guy, he's just running through them. I mean, is he the best ever?
Well, no, I don't think you can say that yet. And I'll let Formula One experts chime in here. Maybe they can tell us in the chat. But, Lewis Hamilton had just reeled off. Ryan, you back there? How many did Lewis Hamilton win in a row? Our audio guy's the Formula One expert. But he won 6 or 7 straight championships, right? So Max is back-to-back champion now. So even if he won this year, that would be
6
3.
or 7,
and then right under that list of McLaren, I think Lewis Hamilton had won 10 races in a row 3 separate times. But even apart from that, you got Michael Schumacher, you got all these great racers throughout history, right?
Okay.
But setting this record right now in the way that the Red Bull car is, that's the question, is how long will this dominance continue with Red Bull having the best car before they make further tweaks and modifications and the rules change and all that kind of stuff. But just something that caught my eye there. Also, I want to talk about Fred McGriff. So Fred McGriff and Scott Rowland both got inducted to the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. Now, Fred McGriff was just a little bit before my time, so it's not like I grew up watching him the same way that I did, say, a Chipper Jones. But still, this was huge for baseball because Fred McGriff, I think he hit 493 home runs, something like that, just shy of 500. But remember that they had the Major League Baseball strike in the mid-'90s when Fred McGriff was putting up his best numbers. That's that's what kept him from hitting 500 home runs.
Yeah.
And this guy was just always how can I work as hard as possible and get better at hitting? Like an actual student of the game, had gotten passed up for the Hall of Fame, I think for 10 straight years or maybe even more than that, finally gets inducted. This guy met his wife, I think, at Burger King, something like that. He's just, anytime you talk, and he was part of that 95 Braves World Series team too. So Braves fans, Fred McGriff has a special place, in their hearts. And then Scott Rowland too. Cardinals to the Hall of Fame.
He was a dog.
So a couple things there that I thought from this weekend. For my worst, the FAMU rap video.
Yeah, what was going on with this?
So the Florida A&M's football program has been suspended after a locker room rap video controversy. This video includes several Florida A&M players and features Real Boston Richie. You heard of him, the rapper?
Real Boston
Richie
No.
filmed an unauthorized video in the team's locker room containing explicit lyrics. Now, look, I'm of the opinion that every college football team in the country is making rap songs. And I know that because we were doing that at Michigan.
Yeah.
We were making rap songs. To film the video in the locker room and just bust in there.
Ballsy, bud.
I don't know what's going on.
That's ballsy, bud. If you're the head coach, man, you're just like,
This is why we can't have nice things.
get out. Just get out. So I'm going home.
But to suspend the program,
I feel like that's a little aggressive.
that seems like a
that's
lot.
a little aggressive.
You got to go see some of these photos.
Can we just suspend some players? We got to suspend the entire program? Some guys on the roster are pissed. Pissed.
Oh, this was Coach Willie Simmons. That's right. I forgot about that. He said, earlier today it was brought to my attention that a rap video was shot by a prominent rapper in the football locker room without proper authorization. The video contained graphic language and is not consistent with the Florida A&M's core values, principles, and beliefs. And an internal investigation is underway to determine who authorized the use of not only the athletic facility, but also licensed apparel that violates university branding and licensing agreements. So it's an NIL play now.
Yeah, it's an NIL play that actually got your program suspended. So it's actually the opposite of an NIL play.
Man, so that's what I got. I was going to have the Marlins losing 8 straight games after the All-Star
they're Post
break,
Malone
but I think they
falling apart
finally
now.
won a game in,
Did the Braves win?
in extra innings. The Braves won yesterday.
They won yesterday?
Yes, because I took them. I believe so.
Okay, because I took them Saturday and I watched them blow it in the bottom of the 8th.
I did as well, and they blew it.
Yeah. So-
They won yesterday.
Good for y'all.
Yeah.
Yankees won yesterday. They're still trash, though.
What's going on in the club?
All right, let's go to Texas Ed. He says, why is Aaron Jones not being talked about in the same breath as Saquon Barkley? He's the best player on the Packers roster and more durable than Barkley.
You agree with that?
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. You always, when it comes to Saquon, I think Saquon's more talented than Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
But I think from a health standpoint, you can't trust Saquon now. I don't think I've ever seen Aaron Jones hurt. And Aaron Jones runs the hell out of the ball.
That is true. No, I like that. I like that name being brought up. Saquon Barkley is just one of the best football players I've ever seen, period, at any position. And when we knock him on being injury prone, he's had one injury, right? I know it was a significant injury, but let's just say this. He had an awesome college career and didn't get hurt. He comes in to the Giants, Saquon, as a rookie, has a great season. I think I had him on my fantasy team that year. Then he gets injured, right, and isn't the same. Now, you correct me if I'm wrong, if this was multiple injuries. I thought it was just one injury to Saquon. Then he returns from that, has 1,300 yards last season. Mm-hmm. If he is able to move forward and have several of these dominant seasons in a row, then that's just one injury that almost all running backs have to deal with. Christian McCaffrey had to do that.
Tear his ACL?
Adrian Peterson, I think it was an ACL.
Well, I thought he had some ankle trouble too, right?
So, see, now if he has multiple injuries.
I don't think it was he didn't break anything, but I'm pretty sure he's had some ankle trouble throughout his career in NFL. I know the one big injury was ACL. I do think he has some ankle stuff. And when it comes to running back, you're not going to get the ball less, right? In your career, you're just not. You're Saquon.
That is true. So I was doing a lot of research before I did the running back get off my lawn week before or last week, and that was a point that got brought up a lot too. Is if it's an injury thing, then why don't we have more running backs by committee, right? You would bring the CTE dangers down. You bring the injuries down. But if you're going to have running back by committee, then the numbers are going to come down too.
Yeah.
One quarterback plays.
Yeah.
That's why they get paid a lot of money, right? One quarterback plays. If we're going to do this running back by committee, and we're going to have 3 different guys tote the ball and share the load, and the goal is no longer to even have a 1,000-yard rusher, which some teams are already doing, then you're certainly not going to pay one guy $15, $16 million a year, which I think Christian McCaffrey is the highest paid running back per year right now at $16 million.
Whew. Deserved, though. He's an absolute dog.
But he's had injury problems.
Yeah.
You know?
Hell, he's had ACL.
So it's like, it's all about how do you bounce back from that. One more, and let's talk a little bit of South Carolina and get Coach Shane.
Trevor Sage, $2 donation. Remember this donation from earlier, talking about Tom Brady. Says they're honoring him, you guys. I know he's retired. Okay. All right,
he's in the booster club.
All right, Trevor.
No, Trevor, look, we thought maybe you had insider info that Tom was already, breaking the news he was going to come out of retirement. That's something we need to know, Trev.
I don't know, is Tom breaking the news about him and the Kardashian? Is that what's breaking?
I can't speak to that.
I don't know. You're going to be a disaster if that happens.
Oh, no.
You're going to be a disaster.
If Tom Brady and Kim Kardashian get together, better be glad you retired already. Better be glad you retired, because that career, you talk about going downhill.
Oh,
the Kardashian curse is real, my friend. In that case, the Pats are on it. I mean, I'd still like to go see the Eagles play.
Oh, me too.
I mean, they've
never been to an NFL.
They're playing he said they're playing the Eagles, right?
Yeah, never been to an NFL. I've never been to an NFL game or an NBA game. Yeah.
All right, we got to change that.
No.
We got to change that. All right, let's talk a little bit of South Carolina before we bring Coach Shane Beamer in here. I have their schedule pulled up.
Okay.
I just want to run through this quickly, and I want to see what your expectations are for the Gamecocks this year. Like we mentioned in our top 10 non-conference matchups of the season, North Carolina, South Carolina at a neutral site to kick off the season. I love that. And in years prior, like you said, North Carolina, South Carolina playing in football, maybe it's a cooler story to the fan bases involved, being in an interstate rival sort of situation. But this year with the quarterbacks at play already is what's going to make it fascinating with Drake May and Spencer Rattler. So that's week 1. Then you have Furman. Then you go on the road to Georgia week 3, already starting SEC play.
Yeah.
Okay, which South Carolina, Georgia has always been one of those games early in the year that I always looked forward to. You always knew you were going to get it. Now I think this game isn't going to be one of those permanent rivalries that we see moving forward when Texas and Oklahoma come into the conference. But Georgia, South Carolina, always a fun game. This time it's going to be between the hedges. Mississippi State at home. Then they go to Tennessee. So 2 of the top teams in the East, you're going to go on the road against. They do get Florida at home this year. They go on the road to Missouri. One of the crossover games is on the road at Texas A&M for South Carolina. They get Jacksonville State, Vanderbilt, and Kentucky, all 3 at home, and then Clemson as well at home. So they end with 4 games at home. Your thoughts?
Oh, God, man, it's the SEC right now, especially, it's just not a lot of returning quarterbacks. I'm interested to see what Devin Leary is going to be about at Kentucky. But at the end of the day, I'm just worried about South Carolina in the trenches. Like, that's where I get worried, especially like the SEC is such a grind. It's such a grind. And the amount of depth you have to have when it comes to your guys up front, your linebackers. I just don't know how far. So, like, Spencer Rattler is going to have a miraculous season, right? For them to get to 9 wins. A miraculous season.
I see 7 toss-up games in there alone.
Because, like, at Tennessee, we'll see about Joe Milton. Like, we'll see. I don't believe in it. I'm going to have to see it. Florida, yeah. At Missouri is not going to be a walk in the park. At Texas A&M is not going to be a walk in the park. Kentucky at home is going to be tough. You have Clemson at home.
Who wants to beat you after last season.
100%. You don't think Dabo Swinney's going to have them boys ready?
And Tennessee wants to tag you back, and it's going to be a Neyland this year.
So UNC, with North Carolina, toss-up. You're not going to win at Georgia. You're not. I'm not dealing absolutes, but you're absolutely not going to win at Georgia. They're just going to kill you.
I think they might win at Georgia.
They're going to kill you up front. Then Mississippi State. I mean, it's Will Rogers, dog, absolute dog. I'm going to see what their offense is about now. All right, after Coach Leach has gone RIP, we love you, Coach Leach. But yeah, it's even Vandy at home. I'm not going to come on here and crap on Vandy.
Which, look, that's what makes it fun, right? That's why we love college football, is because I'm looking down the schedule right now and thinking, man, this is one of the toughest schedules that we've seen. And the moment that somebody just wants to, like, brush aside something like, North Carolina, why are you guys talking about North Carolina? I'm telling you, they're going to have one of the best football players in the country under center. Like, Mac Brown is a national championship, and Gene Chizik.
Yeah.
Gene Chizik still on the staff?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
You can tell me that those 2 guys who both won national championships, You can say it was because of Cam Newton or not, but those guys are going to get the players right. I don't know. This is going to be an interesting schedule for South Carolina.
100%. And like Coach Beamer, I want nothing but the best. But it's just like at the end of the day, you're only good as you are up front on both sides of the ball.
I love Coach Beamer. And let's go ahead and hear what Coach Beamer had to say. 8 wins a season ago. We wanted to talk to him. We really appreciate him taking a few minutes with us at SEC Media Days. Go ahead and run this. Welcome back to Crain & Company. I'm David Cohn. I'm very honored to be joined today by South Carolina head coach Shane Beamer. Coach, thanks so much for joining us.
So great to be on with you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Notched 8 wins in year 2. You bring back your quarterback. What is your mindset in the offseason to be able to take the program to the next level after getting some huge wins against Tennessee and Clemson late in the season?
Yeah, it was great momentum the way that we finished the season. So continuing to build on that in recruiting and on our own team. But then also realizing that we have a lot of work to do. There's a lot that, for all the good that we did last year, there's a lot that we need to improve and be better at. And for us, it's really just ever since we came back in January, focusing on the areas that we have to improve and understand that every year is a new year and every year is starting over in so many ways, and this year's no different.
Well, Spencer Rattler was one of the most sought-after quarterbacks in the country coming out. You recruited him, got him to Oklahoma, and when you came over to South Carolina, even though Spencer wasn't the starting quarterback anymore there, you had the belief in him to bring him to your program. What was it about him that said, this guy can be my starting quarterback and lead us to wins?
Well, one, as a quarterback, I know how talented he is. I was at Oklahoma when we were recruiting Spencer. I was at Oklahoma when Spencer was a freshman, and then his redshirt freshman year. So I knew how talented he was. But just on top of that, I knew what kind of person he was. He had been through battles before. He's a leader, and knew he was a guy that was immensely talented as a quarterback, but also a guy that you want leading your team at that starting quarterback position.
Well, you're talking about recruiting a lot. I was quite fortunate to be recruited by you when you were on Coach Sylvester Croom's staff at Mississippi State. I can still remember that vividly. My parents took me around in a van, and you were quite kind to us. We really appreciate that. When it comes to your recruiting philosophy, especially in an era with name, image, and likeness where kids can get paid, what is your philosophy, and has it changed now that kids are more and more asking, what is the money situation?
Yeah. Well, one, it was awesome recruiting you, so thank you.
Thank you.
Two, it's different, the core of recruiting and what I'm a people person and I enjoy getting to know people. That hasn't changed. What guys are looking for maybe has changed a little bit, but for me, it's still always going to be selling the people in our program, talking about myself as a person first and foremost, the opportunities that are available to young men if they were to choose to come to South Carolina academically and athletically, and just trying to develop relationships with guys. And it's tougher because, I'll be honest, you develop a relationship with a guy and get really, really close, and he chooses to go to another school for reasons that maybe he wasn't going to in years past. That's hard, but just trying to do the best that we can for our program and bring the right kind of guys into our program.
Coach, you're a great man. You're a great ball coach, and we appreciate you taking the time.
Yep,
thank you so much, Coach.
Hey,
that was awesome.
Great interview, dude.
Coach Beamer. Yeah, first of all, those coaches don't want to be at Media Day.
No, none of them do.
They're trying to do as few interviews as possible. So shout out to our producer, Justine PK, for even getting us that interview and for staying on them. And for him to share a couple minutes with us.
It is awesome. Love Coach Beamer. It looks like, bring your kid to work day. You're so much bigger than him, Dave.
Why, I look like his child?
No, he looks like your kid, dude.
Speaking of that, I have to say, man, so like I said, my dad got this van to load us up in for summer. We ran the wishbone at my high school. I wasn't throwing the ball a lot, but I was a drop back passing quarterback. But because of that, we played I played great football against great competition.
What's the most in high school? What's like the most, how many passes you threw in a game?
I think 13. Maybe 17. I think I went 13 for 17 one game, but the average I threw was probably 5 or 6. Yeah. So to throw 17 one game,
but probably yards per completion was probably phenomenal.
I don't know. We'll go back and look at it.
Okay.
Anyway, I say all that to say I had to really go grind it out at summer camps to get offered scholarships. Yeah. And every coach said the same thing. Man, we love you as a player. We want to see you your senior year before we offer you a scholarship because we're just finding out about you and there's not a lot of throws on tape. We want to see you your senior year. Well, to be able to go to camp at Mississippi State Sylvester Croom was the head coach then, who I would find out years later was the starting center at Alabama for Bear Bryant when Richard Todd, my father-in-law, was the quarterback.
Okay.
There's so many synergies in the same world. But Shane Beamer was on his staff, and Shane Beamer recruited me, and I went there. I threw well at that camp. To leave there and to head home, we're driving and head home. I get a text message from Coach Beamer, or maybe even a phone call, and he said, "Hey, we want to offer you a scholarship to play at Mississippi State."
That's awesome.
And that was just incredible because it was finally like, and I had some other offers from other conferences on non-Power 5 and stuff like that, but to for him to be like the first SEC offer that I got, that was like, man, okay, it's really starting to work.
Yeah.
And I ultimately decided to go to Michigan, but I haven't seen him in a long time, and to catch up with
Full
him like
circle,
that
man, huh?
was really, really cool. And now look, he's leading the South Carolina Gamecocks, man.
Yeah.
I think the best years are ahead of them.
I do
for
too.
sure. I mean,
I
like
do
we
too. I
said,
think he's
tough
got the
schedule
program
this
going in the right
year, but
direction.
for sure. All right, you want to take some calls?
Let's take some calls, bud.
Let's get to some calls. We got Steve on the line in Ohio. We got a real Pongo situation.
Steve,
here.
Pongo, Pongo.
Steve, are you on the line?
Yeah, I'm here. It was actually a half a Pongo since you only gave me 15 seconds on Friday.
No, let's go full Pongo.
Yeah, full Pongo.
Full
Steve.
Pongo,
Come on,
Steve.
it's Monday. Let's go full Pongo.
How you doing, man?
We can round up. That's fine. Okay, I've got my trivia for you.
Okay, hit us.
It is.
We're
It
down
is
a
another
man,
who did
so make
what.
it easy.
Well, I'll see what I can do.
Love it, Stevie. Come on, hit me.
Okay, I'm going to name 3 players and give 4 stats.
Okay.
One of the stats will apply to all 3 players.
Okay.
The other 3 stats will apply to 1 player each. To win, all you need to do is identify the stat that applies to all 3 players without using
Come on.
electronic devices.
We got this. Let's go.
Let's start the day.
Let's go.
Okay.
Come on.
It's Monday,
If
baby.
you get it correct, we can go for the bonus and try to do the other 3 stats.
All right, hit us.
All right, the players are Zach Greinke,
Which?
Chris Carpenter, and Tim Lincecum.
All right, 3 great ones.
The stats are from the 2009 season.
Okay.
The stats are at least 229 innings pitched, at least 17 wins, an ERA under 2.50, and over 260 strikeouts.
All right. All right. Innings pitched. What was the second one?
At least 17 wins.
17 wins. Greinke, Lincecum, and Carpenter.
Like, I don't think it's innings pitched.
Okay.
I don't think it's innings pitched.
Even if it was, I wouldn't know that.
I think it
wouldn't know.
has to be. Like, when it comes to
Are
stuff
you
like
leaning
this, I always
ERA
lean
or strikeouts? I was
like,
thinking
always
strikeouts
lean
too, but then I'm
strikeouts.
thinking, well, Steve would know that we're thinking strikeouts, so he's gonna throw us a curveball, pun intended.
I know.
Talking about curveball.
Maybe it's like he
I would
thinks-
never throw you a curveball.
I don't believe you.
That sounds like such a curveball way to
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like
Exactly.
I think maybe he thinks we're going to throw a curveball, but really he's throwing a fastball.
Does it
He
feel like
wants us to
strikeout? Does it
overthink
feel like strikeout?
It's strikeout or ERA.
I think strikeout or ERA too. But then knowing him, it's like, oh, they all had 18 wins.
I mean, yeah. Look, I'll take that.
You want to go strikeouts?
I
Go ahead,
don't-
Go ahead,
I
Steve.
don't
What,
throw
Steve?
curveballs. I throw sliders.
Sliders. Okay. Well,
Let's go.
you know what? How about you hang one here?
What was it? What's the strikeouts? What was the number for the strikeouts?
260 strikeouts.
God, that's a lot.
God, is Greinke K'ing people like that?
Grinky was K'ing guys.
I know. Was he K'ing guys like that? I know Matty Karp was out there K'ing. Tim Lincecum was just freaking
hey,
out.
you're out.
Yeah, it was just getting baked on the plane and coming.
You want to just get in the trust tree and say strikeouts, or what? Or you want to go ERA?
Let's go strikeouts.
All right,
Strikeout,
strikeout, Steve.
Should have went with the other one. It was
God!
The ERA. The ERA under what? 2 what?
No.
2.50.
That's
Greinke was
ridiculous.
229.
I knew it
Greinke was the 229 innings pitched. Carpenter was the 17 wins, and Lincecum was the 260 strikeouts.
God.
And they all had that low of an ERA.
Oh my
That's
God.
nuts. What a
Deal,
good
man.
year for pitchers, man.
Dealing.
Lincecum was 2.48. Carpenter was 2.24, and Grinke was 2.16.
That's a good one. That's a good one, Steve.
Awesome.
We appreciate it, man.
Steve.
Hurrah!
Thanks, buddy. Talk to you later in the week. All right, let's go to Zach in Knoxville. Zach, what's going on?
Zach.
Hey, guys. Thank you for taking my call. Long-time listener, first-time caller. I got a question for you guys.
All right.
Love it.
For considering some UT football here.
All right.
How do you guys feel about Joe Milton taking over for Hendon Hooker? I've seen the guy play over the past few years, and he just needs to get that arm under control, man. What do you guys think? That's the professionals.
Well, look, I want to believe in Joe Milton. First of all, he's an absolute freak of an athlete, right? You see him out there doing backflips. He can basically throw a football 15-plus miles. We all know that. But can he go through progressions, right? Can he find touch? Touch and feel are something that's extremely hard to teach, even if you can teach it at all. We saw glimpses of Joe late in the season when he did play. He did good things, right? They're not going to be as good as they are. You lose Jay and Hyatt. You lost some guys at receiver. But Joe needs to show me he can do it with touch in the intermediate passing game because the system works. We've seen that with Heupel, with the splits for the receivers, the way they run things. But you get in trouble in that system, right, when you don't do great on early downs, right? If you find yourself 3rd and 7+ and you're Tennessee, that's when you got to slow things down, and that's where I think you don't see Joe Milton. Because Hendon, in the pocket, Hendon was phenomenal.
Yep.
Phenomenal, right? Like his feel in the pocket was great. He could run, Joe can run. But Hendon could also go through progressions and throw those intermediate, that dig, 10 yards, right in the hands, catch it in stride. The little things that Hendon Hooker did as a quarterback is what made Hendon Hooker a really great college quarterback. And we'll see what he does in the NFL. I have to see those from Joe, right? It's great if you want to throw it deep every play. Yeah. Tennessee's good at that. But that's not going to win you games Saturday, right? Sooner or later, you're going to have to beat guys with short to intermediate passing. It comes to patience when you're a quarterback. And if you see that from Joe Milton, I want to believe. All the intangibles are there. But there's a reason that I always say what Jake says is long-distance guys don't play in the PGA.
Yeah, and I'm rooting for Joe Milton.
Me too.
He's part of the Michigan quarterback brotherhood. He paid his dues, sat behind Shea Patterson up there, got named the starter, right? Ended up getting beat out by Cade McNamara, transfers to Tennessee, got named the starter, ends up getting beaten out by Hendon Hooker. This is the 3rd time that he'll be named the starter. Yeah. And Cods, I'm pulling for this guy. But you know what? Here's one of the most interesting things. I was thinking about this the other day when we were at SEC Media Days. If Joe Milton just threw a perfect deep ball, right, and that was all, and we were saying, well, he's got to develop touch and he's got to throw the intermediate passes better, then that would be a fair enough argument. But the thing is, for having one of the strongest arms on planet Earth right now, and being able to throw it a mile, it was the deep balls he was missing the most.
Overthrowing.
He was overthrowing every single deep ball. So it's not like he even has that aspect. Yeah, exactly. It's not like he even has that aspect of it dialed in and needs to get the intermediate passing. But then again, we haven't seen him since Hendon Hooker took that starting quarterback role. You never sleep on how much a guy can develop, especially if they have the right mindset behind the scenes. And we saw a little bit in the bowl game. Somebody was calling in the other day asking about his bowl game performance. I think he had 3 touchdowns, no picks, something like that. Now another offseason to put the work in.
We'll see.
We know the physical tools are there. Yeah. Heupel's been working with him. Can he get the timing down? The ceiling's
really high with Joe Milton.
So I don't know. I'm pulling for him, man.
Do you think that Heupel can kind of ring him in and kind of make him a little more versatile?
More versatile, no. But the problem is that offense is so timing based that's where I worry about a guy who's not just extremely accurate. Take for someone like, if you put a Will Rogers in that type of offense, he'd have 75% completion percentage.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
But I don't know. We're going to see. I'm pulling for him. And I want Tennessee to continue this path of the progression that they're on, rather than taking another. Every year it's been like, anytime they have a win, they take another step back, or you get a program infraction or something like that. So I want Tennessee to stay on the right path here. Thanks for calling in,
Great
Zach.
Call.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Hunter in Arkansas. What's going on, Hunter?
Oh, it's good, guys. First time caller. I want to talk about 2 things about Arkansas football.
Okay.
One, Blaine, I have a hate for your Auburn Tigers because it was a fumble that Bo Nix had a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I remember that.
Bo Nix, it hurts me. And
I remember that.
With Alabama being as questionables there this year. Is this a good year for my Hogs to finally win the SEC or West?
Go ahead.
Let me tell you this right now. I don't have any hate for Arkansas in my heart. None at all. And trust me. You know, it's 11 o'clock. We have to play y'all. I wonder, like, what player that no one's known is going to have the best game of their life when y'all play us. But I will say this, all right? I do think y'all have one of the best duos in the country with Rocket and KJ. All right, and I think we interviewed Coach Pittman at SEC Media Days. Love Coach Pittman. I think he's got on the right track. I mean, you bring in T. Will to coach your defense, which is going to help a lot. But I just worry. I worry when it comes to y'all's defense or how much depth y'all have. Because at the end of the day, like KJ, you got to keep KJ healthy. You try to keep him off the ground as much as you can. But Coach Pittman said this anyways. I mean, the guy's a monster and he's a phenomenal runner.
Yeah.
So it's hard not to run him.
Exactly.
But what killed y'all last year? It was your defense, right? I mean, one of the craziest stats, and I was talking about this with Coach Pittman, y'all broke the school record for sacks last year, but you also gave up 480 yards a game. Okay, so if you can fix that secondary, right, and you can fix that defense, your offense is good enough to take you to the promised land. But at the end of the day, defense does what? Defense wins you championship.
Yeah.
And if you want to win the SEC, the defense is going to have to win you that championship. I don't think y'all are there yet. I still think Coach Pittman is building the monster. Maybe not this year. I think you're going to have a good year this year. I have to look at your schedule.
I got it right here, and we'll just focus on the SEC game since he asked about winning the SEC. The first four, none of them are at home. First one, on the road at LSU. Texas A&M neutral site. On the road, Ole Miss. On the road, Alabama.
That sucks.
You got to get off to a good start.
That sucks, to be honest.
That is awful.
You're going to have to win at A&M.
And then you go Mississippi State home. At Florida, congratulations. I mean, I don't care. That's still tough.
Yeah,
then you get
great.
Auburn at home and then Missouri at home for the end of the year.
Oh, God, it's tough, man. But if y'all keep KJ and Rocket healthy, I think you have a good chance, to win a good amount of games. I think you win the A&M game. You can win the Ole Miss game just because of the style that you play. You get downhill against Ole Miss. But it's going to come down to y'all's defense, man. I think you know that deep down. Your offense, I know you lose Browse, but you still have a guy in there that you believe in. Your offense is going to have a great season. All right, y'all going to put points up. I think y'all will. But can your defense show up? You have the depth to show up Saturday in, Saturday out in the SEC. Until y'all get that depth, man, it's just really hard for me to see y'all winning.
But I'll tell you this, Hunter. Y'all have one of my favorite coaches in
love Coach Pitt.
Coach Pittman is awesome. Thanks for calling in. Hey, what's your call sign? Your first-time caller. Do you have a call sign?
Oh, no, I don't actually.
You think about it. Don't rush about it.
Next time you call.
This is forever.
Yeah,
you're in the trust tree.
Yeah, you're under the wing right now.
So you think about that. You call in Wednesday, and you let us know your call sign.
And Bo Nix did fumble that football.
Well, there you heard it. You heard it there.
Yep, I heard it from Auburn. We're good.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it, man. All right, Sawyer in Idaho. I'm so glad we're getting some Idaho love. You know, we need that representation.
Beautiful state.
Sawyer, how's Idaho looking right now? Sawyer, don't toy with me.
Sawyer will skyhook you if you have to.
Sawyer, I need to know what's going on in Idaho.
Sawyer, please. Bark twice. Bark twice if you're in Milwaukee.
All right, someone call 911.
Yeah, come on. Someone go get Sawyer.
I just realized that I was on mute, guys.
You are on mute. There he is.
Oh, yeah, we're almost out of Sky.
Now, everything that you said on mute that we couldn't hear, you have to repeat it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, I was talking a little trash about Jake there for a second. Sorry about that. I'm glad he couldn't hear that one.
Oh, so, man. Well, look, he's over meeting with macaroni right now.
Love that, guys. So I've been playing golf my whole life. Grew up on the game with my grandpa teaching me from a young age. So I've been watching the PGA Tour for many years. I also got excited when LIV Golf picked up, even though it caused a lot of controversy. And when I heard about the merger, I got even more excited that the game of pro golf could be reunited again. So what are your guys' overall thoughts on the PGA LIV merger, and how do you think that will affect professional golf moving forward? And bonus question, do you think that short should be allowed in the merger?
In short, I hate it. Is that enough, or do I need to? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. All right, look, here's my thing. I don't see it as a PGA Tour and LIV Golf merger. Okay, here's how I see it. I see it as a PGA Tour and Saudi Arabia merger, because essentially here's what's happened. Saudi Arabia, who has all the money in the world, as much money as they possibly need, has said, hey, we want to be involved in professional sports. And it's not just golf they're getting involved in. There's racing, there's all sorts of stuff. We want to be involved in the game of golf. The PGA Tour is the gold standard. We want an equity stake in what's going on. Well, the PGA Tour said, they laughed at him and said no, just the same as if they came to the NFL, Roger Goodell would laugh at him and say no. Well, essentially, you have this term in business that's called a bear hug, a hostile takeover, where if a company is public, like let's say Twitter, and someone who has as much money as they need, Elon Musk, wants to buy Twitter, can just offer a price point that investors can basically not say no to, and that company has to sell in a way that a private company wouldn't need to, right? I use that analogy because it's what I keep thinking about with this situation. The PGA Tour said to the Saudis, no, you're not going to be getting involved in golf, and Saudi Arabia said, well, you know what? We are going to get involved in golf. We'll just create our own thing. They need a face of that, right? Who ends up being who did they get to run Live Golf? Greg Norman. They get Greg Norman to run to be the face of the new endeavor that they're going to create with Live. And they say, let's just pay guys guaranteed money and hand out these huge contracts, to which a lot of these guys are going to come over and say no, especially when you have guys who are close to retirement. They're not going to win on the PGA Tour anymore. It's a very similar situation to Lionel Messi coming over and playing soccer in America now, or the same way that Zlatan Ibrahimovic did, right? So those are the first few guys you're getting, but then as the tidal wave starts to move on, you're able to get other guys like Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka, and all of a sudden the names start to pile up. They're not going to say no to guaranteed money, and now you have the golf world split. Well, essentially, here's my take on how we came about with the PGA Tour forming a relationship with Saudi Arabia is they said, okay, let's form a new entity, a new for-profit LLC, which it still blows my mind on how the PGA Tour is a nonprofit, a new for-profit LLC, but we don't like this whole Live Golf situation that you've invented. That's going to be underneath our umbrella, and we can do whatever we want with it. That's how I see what Jay Monahan's done with this merger from the PGA Tour side of things. But we'll create a new for-profit LLC directly with you. So do those guys get reinstated? Does Live Golf as a brand just go away completely, and the only thing that matters? And from Saudi Arabia's perspective, you have to think like they're getting what they originally wanted. So what do they care about the Live Golf brand moving forward? It's nothing to them. And I still don't know how this fits in for guys like a Brooks Koepka or a Dustin Johnson on whether or not they'll be instated to the PGA Tour.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I just don't want to see your knees when you're playing golf. All right, is that too much to ask?
So your biggest thing is like the gimmicks that we're involved in, like wearing shorts, the 54 holes,
like I'm not like
the team aspect.
Yeah, like I don't like care. Like golf is a gentleman's game.
Yeah,
that's what it is. All right, unless you're with the boys. When you're with the boys playing golf, it's about beers and the boys and a hot dog on the turn. That's what it's about. When I'm watching golf, all right, I want to see a gentleman's classy game. I don't want to see your knees when you're shooting out of a bunker. It's a real Shooter McGavin's.
Yeah, well, even more than that, I just don't like seeing American golf being able to be taken over by a foreign entity, no matter what their reputation is or no matter what their motive is. That's why I was surprised. I mean, the United States government can't get involved at some point, even before these class action lawsuits happen, and say, no, this isn't good. So, sorry, that's how I feel about it. Do you feel differently?
You know, I feel like, I agree that it's a gentleman's sport, and it always has been to me. And the way I was raised was, golf is the sport that's different from any other sport, baseball, football, soccer, everything else. And it's a very individual sport. So when Live Golf came in and all of a sudden was like, hey, let's make this game of golf a players like matchup play where you have all these different teams and we're going to like pump all this loud music. A lot of people were like, okay, cool, that sounds great. But then you have this other side where you're talking about where it's like, it's a gentleman's sport. We don't want to see your knees. This is a very classic game, and I can understand and respect that. It's a classic game. And there's the other side of it where you're saying, like, we're going out shooting McGavin with all of our friends. We're having a beer on the first hole because we just shot 2 over par. We're not even through the second hole kind of thing. So you have both sides of it.
Yeah.
So I think, I understand that respect for it being a classic game. But, I mean, I guess we'll just see over time what the PGA Tour and Live Golf does. with Greg Norman. So, yeah, I appreciate your guys' comments on that. That's a great take.
That's going to be the most interesting thing is what happens to Greg Norman. Does he get completely pushed out, and is the LIV brand like swept under the rug? That's what I'm interested to see. And, yeah, to your points, it kind of is, what is the goal of golf, right? Is it to grow the sport as much as possible? Because that's never been the goal. Right. And if that's the goal, then yeah, you need to be doing some things like, playing loud music and completely changing the game. Baseball's dealing with this problem right now because it used to be America's pastime and now it no longer is. And they're trying to like create new rules and do gimmicks and stuff to get people back on board in a way that golf, I don't watch golf for the team aspect. I don't watch tennis for the team aspect. It's one of those few sports where I want to see the best individuals go do their thing individually. And then occasionally when we get a team match play like the Ryder Cup, that's more than enough for me. But either way, I enjoy the question, Sawyer, so please call in again later this week. I think that's all we have time for on the call. So Aiden, Addison, Jeff, everybody else who's on the line, please call in Wednesday. You want to take care of bets for us today?
I will.
Before you do, though, I need to tell the people about Provia hair care.
Tell them about it.
Are you one of the millions of American men and women dealing with premature hair thinning? Or maybe you're worried about inheriting hair loss because it runs in the family. Finally, there's a real solution that delivers on its promise without the harsh side effects, unwanted chemicals, or unpleasant smells, and it is Provia. Provia uses a safe natural ingredient called Procopil to effectively target the three main causes of premature hair thinning and loss. So take advantage of Provia's exclusive introductory summer package at proviahaircare.com/booster. Enter promo code BOOSTER, BOOSTER at checkout for an extra discount on your order. See the results for yourself right now. Don't wait. That's Provia. That's proviahair.com/booster. Blaine, tell the people about it.
It's the best. Look, you want to walk in with a leg up. You know how you walk in with a leg up is by having hair. All right, you don't want to work that hard.
Look good, play good.
Look good, play good. You got the sweatbands on. You
full head of hair.
You got the arm sleeve, the whole nine. I mean, you got safety glasses and the 4-iron. You need to want to know what's about to happen.
Love it.
Boom. Let's go to bets. I didn't get to bet Sunday because my phone broke.
Is that Blaine Nye, the science guy?
Blaine Nye, the science guy?
Blaine. I'm not a real scientist, but I'm gonna act like it. All right, boom.
Well, that's what he does.
Exactly. I know. Boom. I'm taking 2 road teams today. All right, you know why? Because I feel like it. Give me the Mariners -1.5. It's going off on a +142. Extremely random number, but I'll take it. But give me the Blue Jays. I believe on the road, money line +110. I'm feeling it. Coney, talk to me.
Giants, Tigers, no runs, first inning. That's +120.
Okay.
And then Rockies, Nats, Nerfy, all the way up at +135.
Really?
I don't think I've seen one that high.
Is that game at the Rocks, or is that at
the
Nats?
No, because if it was at the Rockies, that would be understandable.
I get it.
This game is in Washington.
Wow.
Which means they'll definitely score a run.
All right, your son, Brewers money line.
What's he taking?
-115. All right, he's also taking the Orioles money line +105.
Kramer on the mound?
Baby.
I love that.
God, how long do you think I can carry a 4-iron right now?
Just carry it. Just carry it through the studio all day today.
We got some donations I got to get to real quick.
All right.
I don't know why I started the glasses.
How are you feeling about it?
I feel like I'm about to put I'm in a chemistry lab.
Yeah. With one of the burners, the Brunson. What is it?
I wish I had my my flame gun. But every time I show up here, it disappears.
Yeah, it's gone.
Let's go to Chris E.
What's
a $5 donation. Have you guys ever made a how-to fantasy football draft video? If not, can I get a crash course doing fantasy for the first time this year? Buddy.
Here we go.
Can you get a crash course? I don't have my golden tumbler today.
Actually, because he already
sent it back to the people. I'm actually getting more gold put on it and my name put in it because I am the champion of the Daily Wire Fantasy League. So if you ever need anything, we might do a crash course video. Not these guys, but I'll do it for you since I am the winner and the champion. So we'll get it done. Send me a message on social. I'll put some stuff in your head.
Who was that? Chris?
That's Chris.
Chris? Yeah.
Yeah. Chris, you're about to hear a bunch of excuses from David. Go ahead, Dave.
Chris, I just want to say that Blaine is an excellent fantasy football player.
Really?
And everything he just said, you should learn under his tutelage.
Well, I did not expect to hear tutelage from you today, to be honest. Let's go to Brandon. Yo, that's rough, Goldman.
Chris, DM me.
Yeah, DM if you want to finish second, bud. It says NASCAR is mid. F1 is the GOAT.
And can we get Blaine to pronounce? Come on, dogs. 2 minutes left in the show. Can we get Blaine to pronounce my favorite driver? Valtteri Bottas.
Yeah, Bottas.
Valtteri Bottas. Sacre bleu.
He was part of those Mercedes runs they went on. I love F1, but man, taking shots at NASCAR, I can't get behind that.
The turn left.
I can't get behind the shot.
Go to Heartbroken Hog. $2 donation. Cody wants to know, were you the tallest person at media days?
No, because we saw, who was it that was there?
I don't know. Who was it?
Stop pointing at me.
You pointed at me first.
Okay, fine. I guess I was the tallest
Was it a player?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's a tight end from somewhere who's like a tree.
Yeah.
Nino Brown, the $2 donation. Crain and Co. fist pump emoji. Nino, I appreciate that, dude. I really do. It means a lot. All right. Poll. This came in from the Booster Club early.
Oh, they were on this one early?
Who was the best James Bond?
The best Bond. I love it.
Bronson? Craig? Connery? Moore?
Man, they're going to say Sean Connery, and they're probably right. I love Daniel Craig, though. I really love Daniel Craig. But let's say the Booster Club said Sean Connery. 50%.
Yeah, it's your mother, Trebek. Bronson, 14%. Moore, 7%.
Roger.
Craig, 32%.
There we go. Get those numbers
Sean
out.
Connery, 47%.
47%. Okay.
Hey, you have your finger on the pulse right there. Huh?
Yeah.
Good for you, bud.
Yeah.
A great show today.
Hey, that was a great show.
Did well.
Put one right there.
Come on.
Put one right there, man.
For
I think
you,
we hit the whole gamut. We talked college football. We talked NFL.
That was fun.
Racing.
Opening segment was fun. Dude.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. Why don't you tell the people bye?
Oh, and like the chances.
You say something about fantasy football.
Come on, dude. And the chances of Jake not being a French spy. We're going.